Okay, so I'm Akash Saxena, and let's start with introduction to web technologies. So let's start with some real-world examples first. You all must have used apps like Paytm or Google Pay, etc. And you must have seen that, like if you go to some shop and scan their QR codes, then you confirm the payment, and everything happens. So just a second. Yes. Okay, so like in these applications, what we are seeing is just the front end part. Continue.
Okay, so I'll continue from it here. Like I don't know what Akash was teaching, so I'll be telling you about. Hello guys, I think there is some error in connection. So sorry for that. So as I was telling you about the web application, so today most of the services and products that are present in market are web apps. Like you have seen apps on Play Store and also apps on iOS Store, all these things. But because there are many things that these are not capable of, like cross-platform sharing and all those things. So for that we have web applications, because these are the web application can run on any platform very smoothly. Then we have mobile application, as I told, these are Android and iOS applications. So these are also equally important for companies to expand their user base, because these provide a loyal user base to the company. Because web applications are like, they will go to the website and they will close it, and the user will not be permanent. But if a user is installing an app, so they will be a loyal user to them. So these are very helpful to create a user base. Then there are desktop applications like Teams and Slack and all this, and Discord desktop application. These are benefited to companies because they popularize the OS. Because if OS doesn't have the application you require, the OS won't be popular. You won't be using any operating system because it doesn't support your desktop application. So these are the types of software in the market. And today we are, like in this part, we will be talking mostly about web applications. And if you want to know about mobile application, you must wait for Google Developers Club. They will be talking about Android and all those things. So keep an eye on those too.
Okay, so uh, let's first, as I was saying, let's take one example. Okay, let's take example of Google Pay app. In Google Pay app, you can see that you can scan some QR code, and then you can initiate the payment, and then your app gets the verification done from the bank, and then the payment gets your money will be transferred to the bank of the shopkeeper. So this is what you are seeing in front, but what is actually happening is more than that. Okay, so I'll try to explain everything, how things work in our softwares using this example. So as users, what we are seeing is just the front end or the interface of our application, and we give some input to our interface. So it collects data from us, and then this interface, like our front end, sends the request to our backend. This entire thing, which you are seeing here, is considered as our backend. Okay. So then backends, we have web servers. These are very heavy servers, and what they do is they perform the operations on the basis of requests you have sent, and then they access the database on the according to this request, and then database sends the data back to the backend, and then after processing this data, response will be sent to the front end. Okay, so this is like the basic flow which happens. So let's I think someone is. There is some. Please, someone listen. Someone unmuted. I think it's gone now. Okay, so I just want to ask: is this clear, or do you want me to explain this in more details? Anyone from the first year side?
Explain again, sir.
Sir, explain some more details, sir.
Okay, okay.
About file system.
Yes, sorry.
Yes,
What?
sir. Explain it once more.
Okay. So, did you get the example of Paytm?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. See, when you are using Paytm, you are paying some, or let's take example of Amazon. Okay. So when you open Amazon, you can see many products there, right? And then then you go to the search option and you search some kind of product. Okay. So what you are doing is you are giving an input using your interface. Like I can go to the Amazon site and show you. Just a second. Uh, so this is our basic interface of Amazon. Okay. If I try to search something, so I did a search. So when I search something, I gave an input to the front end. What you are seeing here is a front end. It is basic front end interface with some input. And what Amazon did, it sent the input from the front end to the web server, its backend. And when backend got the server, it came to know that this was a search, and then after that, backend took this book keyword and it started looking for the data in its database. And after getting the required data, database will send the data back to the web server. Okay, and then after that, web server will serve this data to our front end. So this process happened instantly here because Amazon have very heavy servers. For example, if some site, let's go to our club site. We don't have as heavy servers, and that is why because we don't need that many facilities. So our request might be a little slower. Also, we don't have search facilities or things like that because we don't need them. So you can see that this is very fast process, and this is happening in background very fast.
सही बात.
Someone is unmuted. Can you please mute yourself? Okay, thank you. Is this flow more clear now? How everything works? Like as a user, we interact with the front end, and then after giving some input to the front end, front end sends the request to the backend, where backend has some logic, and it works according to those logics and get the data from database. Then database sends the data back to the web server, and then this web server serves the data to the front end, which will be again displayed on our screens. Is this more clear now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Got it, sir.
Okay, just a second. Uh, uh, this was the basic server. In any of the, if you consider any application like, just a second. If you consider any application, say web application, mobile application, or desktop application, all of them follow similar kind of flow. If you wanted, I'll give a brief differentiation between all these three. Mobile applications you must have used on your phones, like you can use Amazon app or Paytm app on your phone. Those are our basic mobile applications. Desktop application and web applications might sound similar, but they are actually different. For example, some of you must have logged in your Teams account on Chrome browser, right?
Yes, sir.
Please make this a little more interactive.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
some of you, yeah,
Yes,
some
sir.
of you
Yes, sir.
some of you must have logged in your team on Chrome browser, while others might have installed the team software from their official site and used it. So the ones which are going to their browser and logging in there for using Teams, then these applications which are running directly on your browsers, these are called as web applications. While the others which we have to install on our like operating system, these are called as desktop application. So you can differentiate between them now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And
Yes, sir.
okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
you must,
Yes, sir.
yes, okay. Okay, then we can categorize this entire flow in 4 categories, and I'll cover them one by one in this class. First, we have front-end development. After that, we have back-end development. We also have database management system, and then this is version control system. This is something else. This is not part of that flow, but this is also important, and I'll cover a little bit of this at the end of this class. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so for front-end development, we use many technologies, but very basic ones like are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, so if I start with JavaScript, then if I start with HTML, then HTML is used for making the structure of your web pages. If you take example of your houses, there is a proper flow which you follow, right? First, you make pillars and walls and things like that. Similarly, for our web pages, we have proper flow which we have to follow. We have different tags and elements which we have to use for making our web pages. So these structure of our web pages are written in HTML. Is this clear? Like what HTML is used for the basic
Yes.
structures of our web pages?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just a second.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
then we have CSS, which is used for styling of web pages. I'll show you an example here. This is our site of AIT OSS Club, and this is its code. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, you can see here, this is all enclosed in an HTML tag. Okay, and then after that, we have a head tag and a body tag, and everything inside of body is shown on the screen. So this is basic structure which is written in HTML. Okay, and this has to be followed. You can go to any page, literally any page, and you'll see that every page is following this structure. You can
Sir,
see
your
that
voice is
Amazon
breaking.
also has. Just a second. Is my voice clear now?
Yes, sir. It is clear.
Can someone else confirm? Okay. So
Yes,
here you
sir.
can also see that Amazon also has a structure like similar HTML structure. Our site has also has a structure. You can go to any site and you'll see that they all follow HTML structure. Okay, so HTML is used for structuring our web pages, and after structuring our web pages, you can say that all web pages have similar kind of structures, but they all look very different. There must be a reason behind it, and that is that everyone styles their page in different ways. Okay, like Amazon is also using a similar structure like HTML. Then it also has head tag. It also has body tag. Everything includes inside body is shown here. But still, Amazon looks completely different from our site. And this is because we have different components in our site and we have styled it differently. So for styling, we use CSS. Okay, let me show you an example. I'll just remove the styling from our site, and you'll see what our site would have looked if we wouldn't have styled it. Okay. You can see some changes now, I guess. Yeah. See, you can see here that there is no styling and the site is completely messed up. And this is just structuring. First, we have some image over here. Then we have some list over here. Then again, we have some heading and then some paragraph. This is not styled at all. This is just the structure. Okay, this is basic structure behind our website, but there is no styling in this structure. Some images are very large due to their size. Some are very small. So this is completely messed up. Okay, so for styling, so for making our sites better, we use styling. Do you get like what is the significance of CSS?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then after that we have JavaScript in basic basics of front end. So JavaScript is like interacting with your site. You must have gone to some sites and you must have seen that there is some interaction between you. For example, let me show you something. Just a second. Go here. Okay. So here you can see this. Is this visible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so like what we did until this point, we have seen a structure and we have seen the styling, but we have not interacted with the sites. But you must have gone to sites which interact with you in some or other way. For example, if I go here and click on this, it changes its color. It didn't change its color when I came to this site, right? But it changes its color whenever I click on this bulb. Okay, so this is done using JavaScript. Like you can see here, you don't have to understand the code, but what is happening here is we are changing the image, this image over here. Okay, so whenever we are clicking something, we are changing this image. So all this code is done using JavaScript, and we'll be taking classes on this. We'll be taking classes on this in upcoming sessions. But for now, you have to understand that JavaScript is used for providing more functionality to your sites and for adding interactivity in your sites. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
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 Okay, I'll continue then. Do you have any doubts up till this point? Anything?
Sir, is there any kind of connection between JavaScript and Java?
No, there is no connection between JavaScript and Java.
And still, is it important to learn Java? I mean,
Uh, See, Java is a completely different language and it is used for different purposes. You can contact after this class and anyone from the club, and you'll get what Java is used for and what JavaScript is used for. Okay, so we can take this doubt after this. If anyone has some doubt regarding what I have taught up till this point, then they can ask.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can we see the structure of any site or something, like you saw the structure of Amazon?
Yes. Like, tell me a name of any site you want me to see the structure.
So let's say Amazon only.
Yeah, so this is Amazon. Okay, so you can right click and click inspect, or you can click Control Shift I. Okay, so when you do this, you can see here its code. This is not the actual code, but this is the code after compilation, and after compilation all the code is compiled into this basic structure. We all have every code which runs on browser will have a structure which is written in HTML. All HTML files always have this HTML tag outside them. Then we have its head, and then we have its body, and everything that you are seeing on the screen, it is enclosed between the body. So you can go to any site and you can check this. You can just right click on the site and click on inspect. Okay.
Okay, so thank you.
Sir,
Yes.
if we copy the code of the HTML and paste it in Notepad and save the page, then it will
It
show
won't
like
work.
the
It
Amazon
won't work
website.
like that. No, it won't work like that because you won't have the APIs working. There is a lot more things behind this, and I'll explain it on the way, but it won't work like that.
Okay, sir.
So I think we can continue now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after this, we have frameworks and libraries. See, yes, does someone have doubt?
Sir, then to
Okay.
create a website.
No, sir. You can continue.
Okay, I'll take the doubts at the end if you still have doubts, because we have to complete this session as well. Okay, so after this, we have frameworks and libraries. Please mute yourself, everyone. After this, we have frameworks and libraries. Say we are using some code very frequently or frequently on different websites which we are creating. Then what we can do is we can write those code once and put them in frameworks and libraries and directly use those codes from these frameworks. So this way our coding process will become very easy and faster. So do you get what frameworks and libraries are? What we are doing is we are just writing code once, and then we are putting those codes in our frameworks or libraries, and we can use this code in some other website also, which we are building later. What we have to do is we just have to import this framework, and then directly we can use the code which we have written previously in our current project as well. So it will save our time, it will make our code more cleaner, and overall it will increase our ease. Do you get this? What frameworks and libraries are?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. After this, we have UI and UX.
सर
Yes.
सर ये प्री डिफाइंड होते हैं कुछ कि हमें ही बनाने पड़ते हैं फ्रेमवर्क्स और libraries?
See, you can create your own frameworks as well, but we also have predefined frameworks. If you can go to NPM site, you can see we have many. You can search for any framework. You can see all these charts which are used in React.js, which you can use. These are all frameworks which have been created and they are open source. Some frameworks are paid and libraries, but I just wanted to explain what frameworks and libraries are. You can create your own frameworks or libraries, but you can also use some open source frameworks or libraries if you want to use them in your projects.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So
Okay.
after this, we have UI and UX. See, what you are seeing on your screen, everything which you are seeing on your screen is considered as its user interface. But UX is a little different from user interface. Two sites can have same functionalities, but their user experience can still be different depending upon where they are showing their content, how they are showing their content. It all depends upon the ease of user. For example, if we go to Amazon, we come here and we say our search bar here, so we can directly search. But say, what if Amazon removed its search bar from here and put it at the end of its site? It will completely deteriorate your user experience, right? You'll have to scroll down to the bottom and then search for your product, right? So
Yes,
do you
sir.
get an idea of what user experience is?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think you have a basic idea of what are front end, how different things work in front end development. Okay, so these are some of the very famous front end frameworks right now. React.js, some of you must have heard about React.js and AngularJS. Next.js is getting famous day by day, and it will probably used more in upcoming years. So these are some of the frameworks, and we'll be teaching you till JavaScript, and after that you can pick up from any of these frameworks easily. So these are some of the examples.
So can
Is front end? Uh, yes.
you explain UI and UX again?
Yeah, sure. See, if you come to Amazon site, whatever you are seeing on your screen, this is called as user interface. UI is user interface. So everything you see on your screen and you're interacting with, all this comes under user interface. But say when you come to Amazon, you can see that the search bar is at the top, right? But what if developers of Amazon put this search bar from the top to the bottom over here? If they did that, then you will have to scroll down at till the bottom, and then you have to put in your keyword for the search. But that will completely mess your user experience, right?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so like user interface is whatever you are seeing on your screen, but user experience is how the website is interacting with you. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Is this clear? Okay.
Yes, sir. Clear.
I hope front end is clear. Then let's move on to back end development. So whatever we did until this point was visible. Okay, I was able to show you the code of their HTML sites. I was able to go to Amazon and do everything, right? We were able to see the front end code because it was visible to us. But we cannot see how their payments are happening, how they are verifying the payment behind the scenes. So everything like that comes under backend development. So we first have data manipulation. For data manipulation, say if you give some input to the front end, then it will go to the back end, and what back end will do, it will process that data, and then according to that data, it will perform some operation. Okay. Then after performing that operation, it will what it will do, it will search for some data in the database and send that data back. For example, when you go to Amazon and you put in some search word, so you are giving an input. We click on search. This everything happened instantly, and we see our result. But what was happening was, when you put in the book keyword in the Amazon here, this keyword went to the backend of the Amazon, and after that, in the backend, what happened was they started searching for. They came to know, okay, that this is for product search, and they started searching their database of products for products, and they started looking for this keyword. And after that, they gave you the best results for this keyword. So everything that this is happening, this processing, and then communication with the database, and then after processing, sending back the result to the front end, all this is done in backend. So all this data manipulation which is happening behind the scenes, and which is almost happening instantly, which we cannot see, is like data manipulation which happens in backend. Is this clear?
Yes,
What
sir.
data manipulation is?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
you are.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
After that, we have authentication and security. Say over here you are seeing in Amazon different data. Like when you log in on Amazon using your credentials, you also have some Amazon wallet balance and stuff like that. Okay, so Amazon employees, they all have this data in their backend, right, database. They have your login passwords and everything, but then in this way your credentials are not secure, right? You can ask this question.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Right, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
there must be some way in which we are doing authentication and security. This is done using encryption. See, whenever you put in your password during the login, it does it gets saved in their database. But before getting saved in their database, it gets encrypted using some other key. So even if the Amazon employees are looking at their at that data, or even if their somehow that their data gets leaked, no one will be able to use your password because it will be in encrypted form. Password. Let me try if I can get some image right now. Just a second. Yeah. So uh, just a second. Is this image clear to you all now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you
Yes,
can
sir.
see that
Yes, sir.
what user did. User wrote this password, but in backend, what happened to their password was it got encrypted according to some other key. This is some other language, obviously, but it depends upon the encryption key. What will happen is this password will be taken in. This password will get encrypted according to that key, and even if your data gets leaked, they will not be able to use this password directly because it is encrypted. It is in encrypted form. There will be of no use, right? So this encryption and authentication is done in our backend to make our backend more secure and for your security as well. So is this clear, like how authentication and security works?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
like
Yes, sir.
we have. So
Yes, sir.
for encryptions, we have keys, and until and unless someone has those keys, they cannot access your data. Even if they get access of your password, they won't be able to use it because it is in encrypted form. So this is how we make our passwords and overall our system more secure. After that, we have
Sir,
database. Yeah.
सर
So if
ये जो
data get
डेटाबेस
leaks and
Yes. One by one, please.
सर ये जो डेटाबेस के पास जो चीज हमें सर्वर लेके जाता है वो तो अलग होता होगा ना, जो बैक एंड या वेब जो भी फ्रंट एंड से अलग होता है ना वो.
See, when you are sending in data from front end, you are giving in data to the front end during login, right? Then after that, that data is going to the back end, and over there, over there, back end has to first verify you. For verifying you, we have our key at the back end, and then using that key, your data will be first encrypted into some other form. Then they will compare that data from the database and verify you. So yes, when you are typing in password, you are typing in your correct password. But when it goes to the backend, it does the pre-processing and it converts it into the encrypted form. So even if your database gets leaked, it won't affect anything because data in the database was in encrypted form.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Obviously,
the person who get
yeah. Yes.
so the person who get encrypted form can convert the data into like encrypted form in a password again.
Yes, but see, even if someone gets the password in encrypted form, if you use some basic logic like some key mapping, for example, you map letter A to letter Z or something like that, then obviously it is possible to use brute force and decrypt these passwords like this. But when you use some proper key, then these keys make it really difficult to decrypt these passwords without actually having that key. It will take them way too long, and it won't be like it won't be possible in general without using key. But obviously if you get the key which is used for encryption, then they can decrypt it in seconds. And
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
Sir, anyone will be, of course, be aware about the what is the key used for this character, whosoever made it.
Yes.
So,
See, these authentication keys and securities are present in your backend. So obviously, backend has this key, and anyone who is managing the backend can decrypt, can use this. But if you consider Amazon, in Amazon there is more security. So it is possible that they are using multiple keys, or if same key is not available at one location. So they are trying. There are different ways to make this system overall more secure. But what I was trying to tell you was, in general, whenever you send something which is confidential, then these data gets first encrypted, and then they are stored in those encrypted forms. So even see, if someone gets the access of your backend, then obviously they can get everything. That is why you have to. That is why whenever you share anything, you don't share keys in your backend. Like after this encryption in its backend, after this backend encryption, no one will be able to get anything, even if our database gets breached. So this is the main advantage, that even if our database data gets leaked from our database, your everything will still be secured. But obviously, if someone has access of your backend, then they also have access to everything else. In major companies, things work differently.
okay, sir.
Like, do you get?
Sir, this can only happen in between the server only. In between the server when backend is contacting with the database.
When you are sending in data from the front end, it will first go to the backend. Then over there, backend has its APIs, and it encrypts it in second, and then the encrypted data goes to the database. So whenever something gets stored in the database, it is always in encrypted form. But when you are sending the data between front end and backend, then it is in its original form, because backend is going to do the processing for everything.
Okay, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, don't we have like a public key and a private key? Like, so we need both the keys, one with the server and one with us to decrypt the data. Or like,
See,
is it a bit different? Like, can you explain that concept a bit?
Yes. See, for decrypting, you have to backend have different keys. We have .env key for our backends, which is for which keeps our backend secure. But for password authentications, we further have different encryption methods and different keys. So public keys and private keys can be used differently. We can also have more than just one private or public key. We can have multiple keys. We can apply algorithms and have multiple keys for data encryption. So it all depends upon the level of security you need.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Is this clear until till authentication and security, data manipulation and authentication and security?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay. Yes. Someone is saying something, I guess. Okay, then I'll continue. After this, we have database interaction. For database, like whatever was happening between the backend and the database, sending data between the backend and the database, and then whenever backend asks for this data, then the database sends this data. All this is done using in database interaction. For database interaction, we have different database management softwares. Say, for example, if backend wanted to search for a specific keyword in the like in your database, then it is better to have some database management system which will search its database according to that according to the keyword provided by the backend, and then it will send the process data. So all this is done using database management system. Some of you might have heard about database management system, might have learned about database management system in your class 11th and 12th if you had IP subject. So you might have a little idea about it. So is database interaction clear? It is basically the interaction between the backend and your database.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, today we are having theoretical part, but from next class onward, we will also have coding part. So everything will become more clear. But for now, you need to understand how everything works. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
these are some of the very famous frameworks. Node.js is used in JavaScript, while Flask and Django are used with Python for backend. So you have different you can do different backend in different languages as well, and then. Okay, so for database management, which I was saying just now, database management systems obviously have data storage. Data storage parts like your database management system stores the data using specific logics in your database. Okay, it must, for example, if we consider Amazon will save data of its user at some different location, while the data of product at some different location. So everything is properly organized and following some specific logic. Okay, so database management system is responsible for storing data using some logics. Some of you could ask this question that we can also, for like if we are creating our own web application, we can also store data on our systems itself. Why do we have to opt for some other database? See, the thing is that databases, if you store data on your system, then what you will do is you will create a folder, and then you'll start creating different files for different type of data and start storing it there. But accessing data, reading data from these files is more costly, more time costly, and it is more inefficient. Also, all this data is only present in your system. So anyone using your application from some other system won't be able to communicate with your files. So this is the reason why we prefer database over system storage. See, during the development phases, what you will do is you will put your files on your system, and then work on everything. But in the end, you will also put all your data in the database. So yes, we can use file system storages, but databases are more preferred because they are faster. They also provide they are more security, and they are they can be used accessed from different systems as well. So they are more universal. So is this clear?
Sir, is there type of online and offline databases?
See, what you are saying about offline databases, like offline databases similar to storing data on your system itself. Other than that, if like you cannot have some other cloud location or some remote location and call it all offline, because you will have to upload your data. So it will be something like online only. So if you are considering offline database, then it will be your system itself, and you can access data. You can also make your system a database, but then your web application or any software won't be universal, since if your friend wanted to use your application, he won't be use it because the data was present on your system and not his system. But if your data was present on some cloud location or some remote location in some other database, then your system can access the data from that location, and your friend system can also access the data from that location. So
Sir,
do you
can you
get
give
this?
some examples of online databases? I don't know about them.
Yes, we have many online databases. For example, we use Atlas. Atlas is
So
a
MySQL
Atlas
is
or
also.
yes, MySQL and see, I was going to come at this also. In databases, I'll take this first, and then I'll give you the example of some database. For databases, we also have two types of databases. SQL databases SQL databases uses tables, basically rows and columns for storing their data. But the problem with rows and columns is that it is not possible to store all kind of data in SQL databases, or it is also a little inefficient to store all data in SQL databases. So for this, we use NoSQL databases. Uh, See, you can see this. This is SQL database. This is SQL. You don't have to worry about it, but you can see this here. Data is stored in form of table. This is we have rows and we have columns, and then we have all the data stored in rows and our columns. Okay. So is this clear? Like what SQL database is? How everything is stored in form of tables in rows and columns?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
I'll show you an example of non-SQL database. Database. See, you can take this example. Like here, you can see that this is some kind of object. Then we have its child. Then we have another child. So in non-SQL databases, we store data in this form. We don't have rows or tables, rows or columns, but we have a small object, and inside those objects we further have their child, and those childs can further have different objects inside of them. So in this way, we store data in form of objects.
बैंक अकाउंट बनवाना है उसमें जमा करा के आने अरे बैंक अकाउंट
Please
बनाना
mute
है
yourself.
उसमें दे पैसे दे जल्दी
Giriraj, please mute yourself. Okay. So is NoSQL database clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in NoSQL database, we basically store data in form of just a second. I'll try to show you something else as well. I'll show you an example of MongoDB. MongoDB is also a database system which is used for which can be used for sharing like storing data. Is MongoDB visible on my screen? Please confirm someone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you can see that this is the
Yes, sir, it is visible on the screen.
yeah, okay. So you can see that this is the database of our OSS Club website. Okay. So we have different categories like for different pages. If I go to club members, you can see that everything here is stored all the data, their name, their whatever properties we have put, everything. Okay. So and you can see that all objects have different IDs, and these IDs are used for searching purposes or for identifying all the data uniquely. So here data is not stored in form of table, but instead in form of objects, right? So this is an example of NoSQL database. Uh, is this more clear? Like NoSQL database?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
If I
Sir, is
convert,
this MongoDB free or paid?
MongoDB is free, but if you have to, like, if you are hosting something, MongoDB is free, but there is obviously an upper limit. And also, if you are hosting your site, then you have to pay for its domain.
Okay, sir.
See, this is an example of how objects can be stored. and this is an example of data stored in table. But see, this is not as representable as an object, since this is one row, then we have other properties and everything stored in table, but they are not representable. It is easier to see all the data in this form, and that is why NoSQL is also preferred, because there are places where SQL or tabular form becomes a little messier. Is this clear? Like how data is stored in stored in different forms, in form of table as well as in form of objects.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think SQL and NoSQL databases are clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If you have any
Yes,
doubt,
sir.
until this point you can ask.
Can MongoDB
Sir,
replace MySQL?
Uh, MongoDB is used with JavaScript, and like MongoDB is used with Express.js and Node.js, and these kind of languages are usually used for storing data in form of objects. So, but for like if you want to store data using SQL, then we have different things. We have PHP. Uh, we have Django, and we have Flask, which use Python. And in these cases, we also use we like usually Python and Python based backend frameworks are usually coupled with SQL databases, while Node.js is usually coupled with NoSQL database. Is this clear? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If someone else also has a doubt, then they can ask.
Sir, can PHP be coupled with MongoDB?
I'm sorry, I was not able to hear you. Can you please
Sir,
repeat
can
your
we use PHP to
question?
couple with
Yeah.
MongoDB?
No, PHP is completely different, while MongoDB is completely different. PHP is used with like Python backends, and you will be able to get more idea about this, about where MongoDB is used or where Django is used in upcoming classes, when we will take the classes on backend as well. But for now, I want you to understand how things work. Like I want you to know what is happening in your web application. So is this clear, like how everything is working, how data is processed, how communication, how communication is done between front end and back end, how back end processes everything, and then the communication between back end and your databases?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we can continue. After this, I also wanted to take one more thing, this version control system. So does anyone have any idea about version control system? GitHub, GitLab?
No, sir.
Yes,
Anything?
sir. No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. Let's take an example. Say, if we consider like any company like Amazon or Google, obviously they have many employees, and they all work together on different projects, right? But let's take this on a smaller scale. Let's consider you and your friend is working on a project, just two of you, and you are making something. But see, there is no way for you to communicate with your friend. You are working on your system, and since you are both working on the same project, you cannot work on same system simultaneously. But waiting for it is not possible to wait for one person to complete their part and then start, right? So there is no way for you to communicate with each other and work on same project, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So for this, we have version control systems. There are more problems. For example, if you are working on your project and you have completed your project, okay, but you wanted to improve something in your project, so you are working on that part, and you completed that part, and after completing that part, you were happy with whatever you did, and you deployed your project. But during the deployment, because of some errors, your code stopped working, and because of this, all your project crashed. Now this will create problems, right?
Yes, sir.
And for solving this, you'll have to remove all your code which you have changed in this change like before in this deployment, right? And it will be very
Yes.
difficult to change some part of code. For this, we have version control system. So what version control system does, it keeps like an image. You can say like an image of all the code which you are like doing, and then after completing your code, what you can do is you can push your code on these version control systems, and then they keep a track of everything you have done. So even if you make some mistakes at some point in the future, you can roll back to current point and start from here itself. For example, I'll take you to GitHub. Just a second. See, Git is an open source software, software which is used to like maintain these projects. It is a version control system, and it is used to overcome these problems like communication problem, and also it will also give you different all the previous versions of your software or anything which you are building. For example, I'll open the okay. Just a second. This is Oasis Club's GitHub page, and over here you can see some of our like projects which are public. Okay, so let me open the another thing. Okay, so this is you can see here 88 commits. 88 commits means it. Okay, first see this. There are 5 contributors, like 5 different people have worked from their system on the same project. They have made changes on their system, and then they push their code, and all this code comes at the same at one location. Okay, this GitHub is that location. Like when we have completed some code, you push your code. Your code will go to GitHub, and then your friend can pull that code from GitHub and start working. So in this way, you will be able to communicate with your friend more easily. Okay, and you also have different versions of your site. For example, just a second, I'll show you different commits. My internet is a little slow, I guess. Here we are going to the commits, and you can see that on different dates we have pushed different code. We have worked on different code, and then we have like submitted or stored it on GitHub. And what we can do, we can also roll back to some other point if something goes wrong, then we can also roll back to some point from the past, and our code will get changed to that point again. For example, you can see that we started this project on Jan 7, and after that we have worked on this project until 10th of August. Yeah, if you click here, just a second, you can see different changes which were done in that specific commit. If I click here, I can see what code was changed when someone pushed that code, right? So all these changes and everything is visible here. So if we are using version control system, then managing everything, seeing what you have changed, and rolling back to the previous points, and also communicating with your friend and other colleagues, it all becomes very easier. So this is why we are using version control systems. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if anyone has any doubt about anything which was taught today, then you can ask.
So
Anything
why
from the
can't we
beginning.
use Python as both backend and front end?
See, for front end, just a second. For front end, we have to have specific structure, right? As I have explained, all the sites which are working on your browser, they all get at the end, they all get compiled into HTML. HTML structure, they all have some kind of styling, right? So, but Python is not a scripting language. See, all these languages which are used for creating like these structures, these are called as scripting language. But Python, on the other hand, can be used in backend, since it can be used to write logics and write different API calls. But it cannot be used to show things graphically, and it cannot be used for styling your web pages or for creating its structure. So all different languages have different purposes, and Python does not have the like features to make front end part of your like everything, website or any application.
Okay, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I think we can use Python for front end also with Django. Django can use for front end and back end also. But JavaScript is mostly people use JavaScript. React.js for front end. Hello? Hello?
Yes, Shubham, you are right. Like you can use Django, and people do use Django. But like according to the industry standards, and even if you see like most of the sites, or even if you consider browsers as well, like browsers themselves promote this structure. So that is why these are more used. These are the web technologies which are used. But some people do use Django for doing this. But like as you said, JavaScript and React.js, they are more up to the industry standards, and this is why they are used more for these purposes. Is this clear, Django thing?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any other doubts?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, encryption key is a type of a program or a software?
See, encryption keys are like in your backend. You have different kind of code, right? Different kind of logic which are used for encrypting. So they are more or less in your backend itself. They are not different software.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes. For backend, since we have time, I can explain one more thing about backend. If you don't have doubts, if you have doubts, then we can take your doubts. Do you want me to continue?
Sir, you can continue.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir, you can continue.
for backends, we also have APIs. APIs are used for communicating. Like for example, when I say that front end is sending some data, and then that data is processed by your backend, then you can ask how everything is happening, right? So for this we use API, application programming interface. These APIs, let's take an example. Let's consider Amazon itself. When you are sending in some request, then that request is first accepted by first reaches your backend, then backend will do some processing. So this processing part which is done using API, and after doing this processing, this API will contact the your database, and then it will send back the then again it will process the data according to the request of the front end, and then it will send the data back to the front end. So everything this all process of processing the data and request, accepting, sending the data, and serving it back to the front end, all this is done by API. So these APIs are very useful, and you can also use APIs created by some other developers in your sites as well. For example, you must have seen some sites where you can see Google Map integrated in those sites at the end of the site, at the bottom of the site, right? For example, I think some site, some property site or something like that, it might have,
Sir, in Zomato too, we have that.
yeah, like in Zomato itself, you can see that you have a map integrated at the end. Or when you order something, you can see a map, right? Let me try detect using current GPS. Okay, they were able to, let's consider this itself. What I did was I clicked on detect using current GPS, and it started showing Diggy. Diggy is location of our college. Okay, so what happened here was it was able to perform this operation, but we were not able to see this. But see, Google Maps already have everything related to this. You can see, you must have seen that black circle button in Google Map, and when you click on it, it detects your own location, right?
The
Yes,
best
sir.
example
Yes,
of
sir.
API, I think so, YouTube videos.
Just
It's the
a
best
second.
example,
I'll come.
YouTube videos.
YouTube videos, those are not APIs. Those are embedded code, like embedded code.
Sir, I
Those are
thought.
Just a second. Let me explain more. See, you can see that this is working same as Google Map. Google Map can also be used to detect your location, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If Zomato wanted to use this facility or this feature in their site, there were two options. They can either completely write its code, and they have then it will take more time, and it will use more resources. Or they can use the same code which was used by Google Maps, right? Same API which was written by Google Maps in their backend, right?
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so like you can see why APIs are so useful, because different APIs can also be used in your project, depending if they are if they are public, then they can be used. For example, this location API can also be used in your project, and for using these APIs, you just have to have a link of their API, and their API, they will give you some API keys which will tell you how you can communicate or use these APIs. They have their documentation, and then you can use these APIs. You don't have to write entire code again and again in your project. So all the process which was which was happening in the backend for this feature, it can be done instantly, because it has been done by Google Maps before. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is this clear why APIs are used or how they are so useful?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Clear.
I have a doubt.
Yes, you can ask.
So what is the difference between SDK and API?
SDK and API.
SDK is a whole software
Yes, sir.
development kit. Like you are provided with a whole kit, while API is just like in software development kit, you have the whole thing like made up. Like you can just use them. Like in Android Studio, for Android you get a SDK, which you can use to like they have their own rules for building the apps. But in APIs are not software development. They don't help you in developing something. They are just there to provide you data. You will throw a request at them, and they will fetch you data that you want, like in climate change or the API software development. Like you can understand that like the software development kits are like building tools, but API are just informative centers. Like the APIs only provides information, and software development kits help you develop softwares and other things like applications. वगैरह.
See,
Understood?
in SDKs, you can say that they are like almost ready to use. But in case of APIs, you'll have to write that code. You'll have to integrate that in your backend. You don't have to write the logic all over again, but you have to you have to like import that API, use that API, then connect it to your backend as well as to as well as to your database. So you have to write your code again, and then you can use an API alongside. But for SDKs can directly be used as tools.
Sir, so like
Thank you, sir.
are these APIs and embedded when we embed something, are they similar?
No, APIs and embedded codes are not similar because in API you are fetching some data from somewhere, but you are writing the code by yourself. But in embedded code, you are provided with just a tag that you will put up there in your code, and the service which provided you the embedded code, like YouTube. In YouTube, you can just go into options and get the embedding code now. So YouTube is doing the whole work for you. You just put the code there and it will fetch the video for you and it will show the video for you there. But in APIs you have to write a code. In APIs they will just give you an endpoint. There is a thing called endpoint in API where you throw a request and then it will fetch you some data. Like I can give you an example for weather forecast. In weather forecast, like weather.com have their own API where you just their API, you can go on their website and explore that thing. Like you just fetch the data from there, you just enter the location and they will give you the data of the weather of that place or that location that you throw the request in. So you will get that data in a JSON format. Then you have to decide that how you want to show the data, what data you want to show and what data you don't want to show. But in embedded code, the data is like fixed. Like the service provider which gave you the embedded code decides what to show on the screen. It's like instant noodles and simple noodles. That's
Okay,
it. Like this is the simplest I can explain.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And because you are in first year and some of you might know these things in detail and some of you might don't know what we are talking about. So we are using as simple language as we can. So we might stutter because we want to explain the things in as reliable form as we can so that all of you can understand. Like once you will get to the higher part of the like JavaScript and all those things, then we will tell you all the things in detail. So don't worry about that कि पीछे रह जाओगे या फिर you won't get to learn. You will get to learn everything. We currently have around 10 to 12 classes left. So in those, you will be learning a lot of stuff. So learn and just chill out. सब अच्छे से होगा. And don't worry about the Hindi and English thing क्योंकि तुम में से काफी लोग are saying कि sir please use English and some are saying कि please use Hindi also between. So that will be managed. Don't worry. All the things will be conveyed to everyone. So language won't be a barrier in these classes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
any other
Sir,
doubt anyone
excuse me,
wants to
sir.
ask? Yeah.
Sir, do we have to
Sir,
pay
do
more
we
for it?
have any other alternative than API platform?
Like for what use? Like please elaborate. Can you say your name? I can't see your name. Who's asking the question?
Sir, can we use Symfony and Laravel also?
Those are like some language type. APIs are tools for you to use. Those are not language. APIs are not like language or frameworks thing.
Okay, sir.
APIs are like universal. You can use them in any language or in any framework. So I wanted to ask, like there are only 165 attendees. When I first saw there were maximum we got to 294 or 295 attendees. So they might have like I wanted to ask you, how many
Sir,
of you
it's
know web
270.
development from 12th, 11th or 12th class? So have any one of you have done WebD in your high school?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Akash and
No, sir.
Akash and plus two. Okay, nice. Like how
Sir,
much have you done?
of
Like
my high
have
school.
you learned React.js and Node.js, etc.?
No, sir. Sir, HTML, CSS. I've made my school website, sir. Like that much. I can do the front end without JS.
Without
Best I
JS?
can.
No
Yes.
worries, you will be learning JS here. Okay, so only 4 people have done WebD.
Sir,
Okay.
in 12th we have Django subject in Python. Subject, not chapter.
For the chapter. Okay, like Django chapter in high school they are
One
including
second, Shishak.
nowadays.
One
Yes,
second.
ma'am.
Please, FE student, you submit your feedback before ending the session. All of you, submit your feedback. I have shared the link in chat box.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, Rishabh, continue. Now,
Yes,
last
ma'am.
6 minutes.
मैम इसके बाद इनका ब्रेक है सो वी कैन एक्सटेंड 5 to 10 minutes ना for their doubts.
Okay, fine.
So okay, thank you, ma'am. So anyone else for any doubts or
Sir,
maybe
can
I
you
can
share the
chat with-
PPT?
Yeah, we will be sharing the PPT with you all.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay.
Sir, what is the
Someone
main
in the chat.
difference between Git and GitHub?
Who was asking the question?
Sir, actually, me, Nikita Malik.
Okay, Nikita, so Git and GitHub is like Git is the open source software. Like it is a software for everyone to use. Like Git is an offline thing. You can install it on your computer and you can manage your repository on your system. But when GitHub is an online platform which uses Git software to manage all your projects on online. Like this is a cloud storage for Git. Like Git is a software that you install offline on your system. So you can like I am just repeating the same.
Yeah, see, Git is like your version control system. So whatever I just said, like it is Git is used for maintaining all the previous versions of your application. It will help you in communicating with your other colleagues or other partners which are working on the same project. While GitHub is the place which uses Git and stores all your projects. There has to be for Git can be installed on your system and it will keep the track of everything you are doing. It will keep the versions of all your projects. But GitHub is where all your data is stored. Like when you have completed some significant part of your code, what you can do is you can push your code on GitHub, and then your friend can get that code from GitHub. But everything like all the processing and everything like maintaining the versions and all the communication between them, everything, all this thing is done by Git. So like it is the main thing, Git version control system. We also have other alternatives to GitHub, like GitLab can also be used for same purposes. But Git is common. Git is mainly used for version as a version control system. So is this more clear now?
Yes, sir.
Like GitHub is where your projects and everything else will be stored, but all the processing and everything else which is done by software, it is done by Git.
So I have a question regarding, does our email IDs have the GitHub student developer pack?
Yes, you can go to the GitHub and you can request a GitHub student developers pack, but it will also ask for your ID cards, and I don't think your ID cards have been issued yet. So you'll have to wait until you come to your college.
Okay, sir.
You can check once. If it doesn't ask for the student ID card, then you can directly get it using your student ID. I think it has removed the student ID card thing, so you can get the GitHub student pack.
Okay, sir.
Sir, it is valid for 1 year only.
It will
I
be
think
valid
it is.
for up till you are a student here in
It
EIT.
will be valid for your 4 years.
Okay, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can we use Fabricator also as an alternative to GitHub or GitLab?
Yes, you can use GitHub and GitLab, and there are many more alternatives to them. But the thing is, GitHub is most prominently used. It is also used by maximum companies. So it will be a good idea to prefer GitHub and stick with it, because everyone working in industry is also using it. So you won't be able to communicate with if your friend is using GitHub and you are using something else, then you won't be able to communicate with each other. So that is why we prefer GitHub, because GitHub is used by maximum of us, and even at industry level, GitHub is most prominently used. But yes, you can use any other software as well, like on any other online service for maintaining Git repositories. You can use it.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, when will you start the classes?
We have our next class on Saturday. It will be on GitHub and Git itself. And then after that, we will be we'll always have our lectures on Saturday and Sunday. Apart from that, we will also have one lecture during weekdays every week, and you will get notified about that from your department itself. So you don't have to worry about that. And about the classes on Saturday and Sunday, you'll get notified about those classes on official social media accounts of OSS page. So you can go there. And someone was also asking about Grafika in the chat box. So see, first we have decided that we will conduct classes for you, and after all the classes in December, we are going to have an event for you. It will be exclusive for first year only, and in that event, you'll be asked to make website from whatever you have learned. So it will most probably happen in second week of December. So you'll be notified about the dates when the time comes. But for now, you should focus on classes, and you should try to grasp as much as you can. You can ask doubts. You can join the Slack of OSS Club from our site itself. You can also contact us since all our data is available on our site. And you'll also get the PPT. Everyone was asking for PPT. Please go to the OSS Club Slack, and we will post our PPT over there. You can go to our site atoss.club, and then you can go to contact, and here you can see we have our Slack. So you can join the Slack channel, and just a second, you'll be able to see everything, all the PPT and everything.
Those of you don't know who Slack, for them, we will be also posting this PPT in this chat of this meeting. So don't worry about that. You will be getting this PPT after this class ends. So don't worry about that. You will be getting all the PPTs of all the future classes.
If you have any other doubts, you can ask. I've posted the link of our website in the chat box as well. You can visit our site from there.
Sir, one last question from my side.
Yes.
Sir, as per my knowledge, sir, I have read that Fabricator provides a complete set of tools for developing software. So GitHub also provides the same, or it's somewhat different?
Just a second. See, GitHub is used only for I can take you to GitHub. Just a second. You can see here first of all, I think GitHub has all the tools which its alternatives have. It is probably better than the alternatives. Also, GitHub provides all the tools which you will require for version control system or for Git repositories. So I don't think you'll have any problem with GitHub.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, can you suggest any YouTube channel to learn about basics of HTML or CSS?
Many YouTube channels are available. Instead of YouTube channels, I'd suggest you to go to MDN Docs. Some of the documentation present there is really good, and you can start with those documentations if you want to start ahead. And also we will be conducting classes on HTML, CSS also. So if you want to start ahead, you can go to MDN Docs, or you can also go to W3 Schools. It is also very beginner friendly, and you can start learning from them. And it will be better since you'll be able to grasp things easily. And also at W3 Schools or in MDN Docs, you can actually see the code right there, and you can also change the code or play around with the code. So it will be more interactive for you as well, instead of seeing some YouTube video.
Sir, it's MDN Docs.
Yes, you can go to MDN Docs. You can search for it. Just a second.
Full form of MDN is Mozilla Developer Network. And if you want to, like, there's a shortcut for googling it. Like, if you have any
So
doubt in
there's a
HTML or
kind of
CSS, you can
disturbance.
just, okay, there's a disturbance from my side.
Sunil Chaudhary, can you please mute yourself first? Everyone else, please mute yourself. I think it's Sunil Chaudhary and is it okay now?
Yes, sir, it's okay now.
Yeah, okay.
Sir, I also wanted to ask a question.
Yes, you can ask.
Sir, I have started like, is HTML requiring any kind of prerequisite like pre-knowledge or anything, or we can just directly go with the sites and start learning HTML?
No, there is no prerequisite for HTML. You can directly start learning HTML, and you can go to Docs, or you can also try some courses. But I suggest to go with Docs, since they are really well documented. I've also given link to MDN Docs. You can go there and search for anything you want to learn about. I'll also give the link of W3 Schools. It is also very beginner friendly, and you can go there and everything is categorized properly, and you can start from there. And there is no prerequisites as such for HTML.
Okay, sir. So one more thing, like currently I'm learning programming languages. So starting HTML in parallel would be beneficial, or should I first complete with the basics of programming and then go for HTML?
You can do both of them parallel, since see, like HTML is a scripting language, and it is completely different from some other programming language. If you are learning C++ or anything else, then you can continue learning that as well along with HTML. It won't be of any issue.
Okay, sir. And sir, one more thing, like that mobile development thing, that for that I think we have a um, application named Figma. So like I found it really very interesting. So should I start with it now, or should I wait for the commands from the club site?
Can you please repeat?
Sir, this mobile development stuff, there is a site named Figma. I mean, site.app Figma, in which we are designing all the things. So I just was going through it and I found it really interesting. I am like willing to start it. So should I wait for the club to give instructions on it, or I can start with it?
I was saying that I have also used Figma, and I use Figma for my every project, almost every project, to design the UI. So yes, you can start with like Figma is really an important part for the projects too, as the UI design is also a part of project. So mostly the UI designers consider Figma and Adobe XD, and mostly of them consider Figma to use because Figma is free to use, and you can also get the student discount through your AIT mail ID. So yeah, I would suggest you can start learning Figma because it is not, it's like a Microsoft Paint for UI designers. So you can start to using it and also learning it from YouTube tutorials. You will learn it in almost 15 to 20 days. You will be an expert in Figma. And after that, all the things are on your creativity and on your imagination, like what you want to create in Figma. So Figma is like in conclusion, Figma is a really great tool for UI designers and for graphic designers. So yeah, you can like our web design of our OSS Club website is also designed on Figma.
Okay, so can you please
Like
suggest a
this is the
YouTube
previous
channel?
iteration. You can just search for Figma tutorials, and the top tutorials will be the best. Like you can consider Flux. There is a channel named Flux, and also a Saptarishi. A guy named Saptarishi is on YouTube who also is a UI designer. He can also recommend you some good YouTube channels and also good Udemy courses to start UI design.
Okay, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yep.
Sir, we have been taught HTML in our 9th and 10th standards. So, sir, we know the basics of HTML. Only revision is needed. So, can we have the revision with you when you will be teaching, or should we go for it now onwards?
Like you can see, you were taught HTML in 9th and 10th class, so it's been like almost 3 years now. So it will be better for you if you attend the HTML class, because it will be for only 2 hours only, na. It will be like a revision for you and a detailed review for all other students. So I would recommend you attend that class. So it's only 2 hours, and then we will, from the next class, we will start CSS. So it won't be a problem for you.
No, sir.
And
Actually, I am
from
asking that should we go for any YouTube channel for learning HTML? Because I know the basics, only a revision is needed. So I will be doing the revision with you only.
see, if you really want to consider the sorry for the interruption. If you really want to consider going through the YouTube lectures or like video lectures rather than the documentations on MDN or W3 schools, you can consider the Coursera courses or the Udemy courses for that. They are pretty good in these stuff because they are packed with all the stuff and they are organized in a way. Because on YouTube you will be exploring through different channels and it will be time consuming for you, and also it will be confusing for you to find the best quality content. And instead, if you go to Udemy, you can purchase a course by seeing the ratings and the number of students who have taken the course and also the reviews. So I recommend if you really want to go for video lectures, then you should go for Udemy courses or the Coursera courses.
And sir, how much time?
Sir, regarding this course thing.
Hello.
Sir,
Hello, Rishabh.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it takes time, so I'll leave the meeting now. You continue.
Okay, ma'am, you can leave the
Okay,
meeting.
thank you so
I'll
much.
end the meeting ending.
Yes, you end the
Thank
meeting.
you,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much, students. If you still, please submit that feedback and then leave the meeting after this discussion. Thank you.
sir, regarding that courses, etc., I wanted to ask: is it really advisable to complete all the courses and then start a project, or just we can start with the raw project only?
See, if you start some project, then obviously after some time you'll get stuck at something. Then you will be learning that, and then, see, I think you can start some project and learn along the way as well. But the better way would be to learn something about the technology which you will be using, and then start with the project, because that way overall flow will be more efficient. But it's more or less like what works for you. If you enjoy learning along the way while doing things and stopping in between, then you can do that. But if you want your flow to be more efficient, then you can first learn something at least and then start with your projects.
सर
Also,
क्योंकि
when
मतलब
you are
मैक्सिमम
doing
चीजें
the
फिर भूल
Udemy
ही जाते
courses,
हैं जो कोर्सेज में पढ़ते हैं मतलब
नहीं
अगर
आकाश
प्रैक्टिकल
देख हाँ प्रैक्टिकल सी तुम यूट्यूब से अगर सीखोगे ना, so it will be like you will be learning only and they won't tell you to how to make projects. But if you are taking a Udemy courses, like for example, if you are taking the Udemy courses of web development bootcamp of Angela Yu, there's this teacher Angela Yu who have the web development bootcamp on Udemy. So she has a course of like 68 hours total time. So in that course, she make you build like up to 4 to 5 projects, I think, in HTML, in CSS, in Bootstrap, and in React, also in Node. So there you will be learning how to make a note-taking app, also, and also how to make a to-do list app, and how to make a repository, like a GUI of a repository. So these projects are done in a courses. So yeah, I would still recommend कि तुम Udemy courses लो, because ऐसा नहीं है तुम सोचो कि project शुरू नहीं होंगे, but they will be taking the mini projects to you. Like तुम mini projects बना रहे होगे वहाँ पे, and then after the course you can go to a bigger project, so it won't be a problem.
हाँ जी सर.
Okay, if you have doubts, you can raise hands and we'll ask you one by one. Shagun, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Good afternoon, sorry, sir.
Good afternoon.
Actually, आपने अभी जो कोर्स मेंशन किया डॉक्टर एंजेला यू का, सर उसमें कुछ चीज़ें जो थी वो नॉन अपडेटेड हैं, लाइक बूटस्ट्रैप 4 अभी है और लेटेस्ट में बूटस्ट्रैप 5 है. सर एक्चुअली मैंने खुद वो परचेज कर रखा है, तो मुझे ये चीज़ पूछनी थी कि मैं बूटस्ट्रैप 4 भी कवर कर सकती हूँ.
See, you don't have to worry about that, since Bootstrap is actually like a framework, which is a framework, and there is not much difference between Bootstrap 4 and Bootstrap 5. Even if you go to the official Bootstrap documentation, just a second. I go to Bootstrap documentation. You can see that currently they are working on version 5, but they must be like version 6 must be under development. So obviously these versions will get they will get updated from time to
The
time.
only slight difference, right?
Yeah, like there is a slight difference,
Okay,
almost
sir.
negligible. Like in Bootstrap 5, there must be some new components or there must be some improvements, but it won't cause any problems.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, Ritik.
Sir, how many hours you will be giving us for teaching HTML?
HTML class will be for 2 hours.
So, sir, will 2 hours be sufficient enough for the one who doesn't know the basics of HTML?
Yes, 2 hours will be sufficient. Plus, we'll be taking around 5 hours of classes on CSS. So you'll be you'll be learning many more things about HTML as well during those classes. So it will be it will be a continuous process. So I think it will be enough. Plus, whatever you have learned, please try it after the class coding part, which will be started from next class onwards. Please try it on your system as well. And if you have some doubts, you can ask. Please go through the different documentations, and I think this will be enough.
Okay, sir. And sir, can we also have some group for this course so that if we have any doubt, we can have discussions?
Yeah, we will be making a Discord channel for this. You all can join there shortly in the next 2 days or maximum 3 days. Like at the end of HTML class, you will have joined the Discord server for our Spark. So don't worry about that. And also you can leave if you don't have any doubts. You can leave the class and just fill the form for formality, nothing else. भरना है तो भर देना, वरना मत भरना. तुम्हारी मर्जी है, एकेडमिक्स का काम है वो. ठीक है. You can understand that कि हमारा club है. We have just taken your 1 hour in academic time. So don't worry about that. Anything else you want to ask?
Sir, how to join OSS Club?
For OSS Club, in the past years, we haven't selected any FEs for OSS Club because until now we didn't needed FEs to work in our club, and we wanted the club to be as the low as in count so that the work in efficiency can increase. But this year we are thinking of selecting FEs, and you will be soon told about the dates of interviews, and you will get the form links if we decide to select the FEs. And in OSS Club, we organize this national hackathon in our. So for that, we select FEs in organizing team. So we will be taking you in that also. So you will be you will be filling a form, and then we will take your interviews and we'll select 10 to 11 FEs. So don't worry about that. बाकी बहुत clubs हैं यार, explore करो. I won't stop you from going in any club. Like there is cultural club and there is technical board and ISDF, and we also have this game and VR development club this year. So I'll say कि explore करो जितना हो सके first year में, because first year is like you are free to explore anything, and also तुम अभी 2 से या 2.5 महीने में तुम offline भी आ जाओगे. So don't worry, सब chill होगा.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Recording
Anyone else?
Recording off. Anyone else?